Chosen one, listen carefully. I carry an urgent message today, and this message is not for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if your heart is not aligned with truth, you will feel uncomfortable right now. You may even want to leave, and that is fine. This message is only for God's chosen ones. Those who are truly called will feel something pulling them to stay. If you are still here, understand this clearly. This message has reached you at the exact moment heaven intended. Not early, not late, right on time. Your spirit was ready before your mind caught up. Chosen one, the 144,000 are not asleep. They are not scattered in confusion. They are waiting, and they are waiting for your command. What you carry inside you has weight in the spiritual realm, whether you realize it yet or not. Stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to share will calm your mind, strengthen your spirit, and answer questions you've carried silently for years.
Who the 144,000 truly are, removing confusion and fear. Chosen one, let me speak to you calmly now, the way a teacher speaks to a student who has been troubled for too long. There is much confusion around the number 144,000. Too much fear, too much noise, and fear never comes from God. Confusion never comes from God either. So if something has filled your mind with anxiety, comparison, or pressure, understand this first. That voice was not divine. The 144,000 are not a crowd chasing status. They are not a spiritual elite walking around feeling superior, and they are certainly not chosen by accident. The truth is quieter than what most people preach. The 144,000 are chosen through obedience, refinement, and endurance. Not popularity, not perfection, not loud faith, but consistent faith. Many people misunderstand this number because they try to understand it with ego instead of spirit. They turn it into a competition. Am I chosen? Are they chosen? Who qualifies? And the moment the mind starts asking those questions from a place of fear, it has already stepped away from truth. God does not choose through panic. He chooses through peace. Let me say this clearly so your heart can rest. Being part of the 144,000 is not about being better than others. It is about being entrusted with responsibility. Authority in God's kingdom is never a reward. It is a burden that only the prepared can carry. That is why so few are chosen, not because God is limiting, but because few are willing to be refined without applause. The 144,000 are those who allowed God to deal with them in private. They are people who faced themselves honestly, people who were corrected and did not run away, people who were broken but did not become bitter. They learned how to obey even when obedience felt lonely. They learned how to stay faithful when nobody clapped. You see, chosen one, many believers want the crown but reject the process. They want authority but avoid discipline. They want divine favor but resist divine correction. The 140,000 are different, not because they are flawless, but because they are teachable. God can speak to them and they will listen. God can stop them and they will pause. God can correct them and they will not harden their hearts. This is why confusion was allowed around this topic. Confusion separates the curious from the committed. Those who chase titles fall away. Those who chase truth remain. If you have ever felt drawn to God but uncomfortable with religious noise, that is not a coincidence. If you have ever loved God deeply but struggled with systems that felt empty, that is not rebellion, that is discernment. The 144,000 are not blindly religious. They are spiritually awake. They do not follow God because it feels good. They follow Him because it is truth. Let me address another fear that many of you carry silently. Some of you worry that if you were truly chosen, your life would look cleaner, holier, easier. But chosen one, God does not choose based on outward appearance. He chooses based on inward surrender. Your past does not disqualify you. Your struggles do not disqualify you. What disqualifies a person is pride that refuses correction. The 140,000 are not sinless. They are submitted. There is a difference. They are not perfect. They are purified through repentance and humility. They are people who learned how to return to God quickly. People who do not justify their mistakes, but bring them into the light. And this is important, so listen slowly. Feeling called does not mean you are arrogant. It means you are aware. The enemy has trained many believers to confuse calling with pride. So they shrink, they stay silent, they hide their light. But God does not give awareness to humiliate you. He gives it to prepare you. If you feel a deep responsibility in your spirit, that is not imagination. If you feel watched in the spiritual realm, that is not fear. It is awareness. Authority attracts attention. Light attracts both angels and opposition. That is why your life has been intense. That is why you were tested early. That is why distractions never satisfied you for long. The 144,000 are marked, not on their foreheads as people imagine, but in their conscience. Their spirit convicts them before others do. Their heart responds to truth quickly. They cannot live comfortably in deception. That is a mark. You were trained to hear God quietly. You were trained to value truth over comfort. You were trained to stand alone without collapsing. That training did not come from books. It came from life. And now I want to remove one last weight from your mind. You do not need to prove that you are chosen. Chosen ones do not announce themselves. They move with calm certainty. They serve without noise. They speak when led and remain silent when necessary. They do not rush God. They trust Him. If this message is calming you instead of exciting your ego, that is a good sign. If you feel peace settling instead of pressure rising, that is alignment. God never burdens His chosen with fear. He strengthens them with clarity. So breathe. Let your shoulders relax. You are not late. You are not behind, and you are not confused. You are becoming clear. In the next part, I will explain why you have always felt different, why separation followed you even when you didn't seek it, and why that difference was never a curse. It was preparation. Why you feel different. The mark of spiritual authority. Chosen one, let me speak to you gently now, because this part touches places in your heart you rarely let anyone see. You have always felt different, even before you had words for faith, even before you understood God deeply. You sensed it early. You never quite fit where others were comfortable. And for a long time you wondered if something was wrong with you. Nothing was wrong with you. Your difference was never social. It was spiritual. You see, spiritual authority begins long before public purpose. It begins as an inner awareness that does not allow you to fully dissolve into the world. While others blended in easily, you observed. While others chased noise, you searched for meaning. While others followed trends, you questioned direction. That was not rebellion. That was discernment forming. Many chosen ones carry a quiet loneliness they cannot explain. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. Not because you dislike people, but because your spirit does not resonate with surface-level connections. Your soul looks for depth, truth, and sincerity. Small talk drains you. Pretending exhausts you. Wearing masks feels painful. That is because authority requires authenticity. God strips chosen ones early, so they cannot hide behind false identities later. Some of you matured too early. You carried emotional weight before your peers were ready for responsibility. You saw through things others celebrated. You noticed hypocrisy where others saw comfort. That awareness did not make life easier. It made it heavier. And you paid for that awareness with isolation, misunderstanding, and sometimes rejection. Let me say this clearly. Being different is not a badge of superiority. It is a sign of assignment. God does not shape leaders in crowds. He shapes them in solitude. Authority is not born where everyone agrees with you. It is born where you learn to stand without validation. That is why you learned silence early. That is why you learned to observe more than speak. That is why you developed an inner world that felt richer than external applause. God was teaching you how to listen before He ever allowed you to lead. You may have noticed that you never fully enjoyed certain sins the way others did. You tried. You explored. You tested boundaries. But something inside you always pulled you back. Conviction visited you early and often, not to shame you, but to guide you. That inner voice was training your conscience. Authority flows through a clean conscience, not a perfect record. And because of that, your mistakes hurt more deeply. You felt guilt more sharply, not because you were worse, but because you were more aware. The enemy used that sensitivity to accuse you, to make you believe you were failing God. But the truth is, that sensitivity is a sign of closeness, not distance. Chosen ones often walk through emotional exhaustion. You give deeply, you feel deeply, you think deeply, and because of that you must learn rest the hard way. God allows fatigue to teach you boundaries. Authority without rest becomes tyranny, even over yourself. So God slowed you down. He made you step back. He taught you stillness. Many of you were misunderstood by family, called too intense, too serious, too spiritual, too quiet, too different. And that hurt you more than you admitted. You tried to adjust. You tried to soften yourself. You tried to fit smaller spaces, but your spirit never shrank. Because God does not reduce His vessels to please environments that cannot contain them. Let me heal something here. It is not your job to be understood by everyone. It is your job to be obedient. Authority does not require explanation. It requires alignment. When you stop trying to convince people of who you are, peace returns to you. Chosen one, your separation was not rejection. It was protection. Had you blended in too deeply, you would have absorbed things that would later contaminate your leadership. God kept you slightly apart so your discernment would stay sharp. That distance preserved you even when it felt painful. Some of you lost friends without clear reasons. Some relationships faded without conflict. That was not abandonment. That was divine pruning. God removes attachments that would later compete with your calling. And He does it quietly so you can heal without bitterness. You may also notice that your emotions are strong but controlled. You feel anger, but you do not enjoy chaos. You feel sadness, but you do not surrender to despair. You feel joy deeply, but you do not chase it recklessly. That balance is trained. Authority requires emotional mastery. God teaches you to feel without being ruled by feelings. And yes, there were moments you questioned yourself, moments you wished you were simpler, moments you wished you could just live without this inner pull. But chosen one, you were never meant for spiritual sleep. You were meant for awareness, and awareness comes with weight. The enemy tried to convince you that your difference was a flaw, but God calls it preparation. Every moment you felt out of place was teaching you discernment. Every time you stood alone, your inner spine strengthened. Every season of silence sharpened your listening. That is why when truth speaks, you recognize it quickly. That is why you feel disturbed by deception, even when others are entertained by it. That is why your spirit reacts before your logic catches up. Authority recognizes truth instinctively. You were not made to follow blindly. You were made to hear clearly. And now, chosen one, I want you to release the self-blame. Release the shame of being different. Release the pressure to normalize yourself. God never asked you to be normal. He asked you to be faithful. Your difference is the evidence that God trusted you with depth. And depth always feels heavier before it feels powerful. In the next part, I will explain why God intentionally hid you for so long, why your life felt delayed while others advanced, and why that hidden season was the greatest gift He gave you before authority was released. Let me add this final layer, chosen one, because it completes the picture and brings rest to your mind. You were never meant to rush into visibility. That inner pull you feel, the one that tells you to wait, to observe, to prepare, that is wisdom settling in you. God does not hurry his vessels, he deepens them, and depth takes time. While others were building outward lives, God was building your inner foundation. That is why collapse never fully took you out, even when life shook you hard. Notice this about yourself. You recover differently. Pain visits you, but it does not own you. Disappointment hits you, but it does not erase your faith. You bend, but you do not break. That resilience did not appear by accident. It was trained through years of quiet endurance. And here is something very important. Authority is not loud confidence. It is calm certainty. When you walk into a room, you do not need to announce yourself. Your presence speaks. People feel safe or exposed around you, sometimes without knowing why. That is spiritual authority resting quietly. So stop questioning your nature. Stop asking why you cannot live like everyone else. You were never designed for that path. You were designed to carry weight, to stand firm, and to move when God says move. And you are closer now than you think. The silent preparation. Why God hid you before elevating you. Chosen one, this is where many of you have struggled the most, and I know it, because I have walked this path myself. The silence, the delay, the feeling of being ready inside while nothing moves on the outside. Let me tell you something with absolute clarity so your mind can finally rest. God did not forget you. God did not delay you by accident, and God did not hide you to punish you. He hid you to protect you. There is a season when God intentionally removes his chosen from visibility. Not because they are unqualified, but because they are too valuable to be exposed too early. Immature environments destroy unprepared vessels, and premature elevation ruins good hearts. So God steps in and says, "Not yet." This is the season where heaven works quietly, and the ego gets uncomfortable. You watched others rise faster. You saw people with less depth receive more attention. You saw doors open for those who did not carry your discipline or discernment. And if you are honest, that confused you. You asked God questions you never spoke out loud. Why them and not me? Why am I ready but unseen? Why does obedience feel unrewarded? That silence was not absence. That silence was training. God was teaching you how to obey without applause. Because authority that depends on recognition collapses the moment recognition is removed. God wanted you rooted so deeply in truth that even if no one ever clapped, you would still stand firm. In the hidden season, God deals with the inner life. Pride is confronted, impatience is exposed, motives are purified. You learn why you want influence, not just that you want it. Many people want to lead because they are wounded. God heals you first, so your leadership does not bleed onto others. That is why he slowed you down. You were hidden so you could hear clearly. Noise dulls discernment. Constant attention feeds ego. God separated you so your spiritual senses would sharpen. In the quiet, you learned how to recognize his voice without signs and wonders. You learned to trust him without reassurance. You learned obedience without guarantees. This is where most people fail. They confuse waiting with stagnation. But chosen one, nothing was wasted. While you felt still, your inner structure was forming. You were learning restraint. You were learning patience. You were learning how to sit with unanswered prayers without walking away from God. That kind of faith cannot be taught publicly. It must be lived privately. Some of you felt invisible for years. You served faithfully, yet remained unseen. You prayed sincerely, yet nothing shifted. And the temptation to give up visited you quietly. But something deeper kept you grounded. That was not stubbornness. That was calling. God hides his leaders until they can carry visibility without being consumed by it. Exposure tests character more than isolation ever does. When people watch you, judge you, praise you, and misunderstand you, only those anchored in God survive without losing themselves. And here is something few understand. God hides you so the enemy cannot study you too early. Authority attracts resistance. If you had risen before your discernment matured, opposition would have overwhelmed you. God concealed you until your spiritual spine strengthened. Your hidden years built resilience. They taught you how to endure disappointment without resentment, how to remain humble without being small, how to wait without growing bitter. These qualities cannot be rushed. They must be formed through time. Many chosen ones feel shame for not being where they thought they would be by now. Release that shame. Timing is not punishment. Timing is precision. God is not slow. He is exact. You were also hidden because God was untangling unhealthy attachments. Some people could not come with you. Some habits had to fall away. Some mindsets needed reshaping. Had you risen with those attachments still active, they would have pulled you down later. So God did surgery in private. And yes, surgery hurts. Pruning hurts. Silence hurts. But it heals deeper than constant noise ever could. Let me say this clearly. Chosen one, delay is not denial. Silence is not rejection. And hidden does not mean forgotten. God sees more than you do. He prepares more thoroughly than you imagine. You were not idle. You were being fortified. And now, something has shifted. The waiting has changed its tone. The silence feels different. Not empty, but expectant. That is because preparation is nearing completion. In the next part, I will speak to you about the weight of command, why authority requires emotional mastery, and why God waited until you could rule yourself before trusting you to influence others. Let me deepen this understanding a little more, because this is where many chosen ones either find peace or fall into frustration. During the hidden season, God was also teaching you something very few people ever learn: how to sit with yourself. No distractions, no constant validation, no audience. Just you, your thoughts, your fears, your prayers, and God. Most people avoid that place. You were forced into it, and at the time it felt unfair. But that solitude healed parts of you that would have remained broken forever. You learned to examine your motives honestly. You discovered where your desire to be seen was rooted in old wounds. You faced insecurities you once masked with activity. God was not trying to expose you to shame you. He was cleansing you so that when authority comes, it does not awaken unresolved pain. Leadership magnifies whatever lives inside a person. God made sure peace lived inside you first. This season also trained your spiritual patience. You learned that not every urge must be acted on, not every emotion must be expressed, not every battle must be fought. That restraint is power. Authority is not reacting quickly, it is responding wisely. And wisdom is born in stillness. You are also learning to trust God's timing over your own understanding. You saw how limited human timelines are. You realized that rushing often destroys what waiting protects. That revelation will guard you later, when pressure comes to move before clarity arrives. And let me tell you something comforting. God never hides his chosen forever. He hides them until exposure can no longer corrupt them. When visibility comes now, it will not intoxicate you. When praise comes, it will not define you. When criticism comes, it will not destroy you. You are not emerging as someone desperate to be seen. You are emerging as someone anchored enough to be useful. So if you ever wondered whether the waiting was worth it, let this settle in your spirit. You did not lose time. You gained strength. You did not fall behind. You were being fortified. And that kind of preparation cannot be rushed. The weight of command. Why authority requires emotional mastery. Chosen one, now we move into a truth that separates those who are called from those who are trusted. Authority is not given to the most gifted. It is given to the most governed. Before God places weight in your hands, He teaches you how to carry weight in your heart. Many people imagine command as power, as influence, as being heard. But true spiritual authority begins much deeper. It begins with emotional mastery. If a person cannot rule their inner world, they will eventually misuse authority in the outer world. That is why God delayed you. He was teaching you how to lead yourself. Think about the battles you fought in silence. Anger you learned to restrain, words you chose not to speak, reactions you felt rising but did not release. That was not weakness. That was training. Authority is not loud, it is controlled. It knows when to speak and when silence carries more power. God watched how you handled disappointment, not just whether you stayed faithful, but whether you became bitter. Bitterness disqualifies authority faster than failure ever could. So God allowed delays, misunderstandings, and unfair situations to test your heart. Each time you chose humility over resentment, your capacity for command increased. You also learned emotional responsibility. You stopped blaming others for your reactions. You stopped expecting people to meet needs only God could fill. You learned self-awareness. You recognized your triggers. You learned how to pause before reacting. That pause is authority in its earliest form. Chosen ones are often emotional, but not unstable. You feel deeply, yet you do not allow emotions to rule you. God trained you to sit with discomfort without exploding or escaping. That discipline separates leaders from followers. And here is something important. Authority without emotional mastery becomes domination. God does not raise tyrants, He raises shepherds. People who can correct without cruelty, who can lead without control, who can stand firm without losing compassion. This is why God refined your empathy. You understand pain because you have carried it. You understand struggle because you lived it. That empathy will keep your authority humane. Power without empathy becomes dangerous. You are also trained to surrender outcomes. You learned that not everything is under your control. That realization softened your grip on life. It humbled you. Authority flows best through open hands, not clenched fists. Some of you wondered why God allowed emotional exhaustion, why you felt drained at times. It was because you were learning limits. Authority respects boundaries. Leaders who never rest eventually break themselves and others. God taught you rest early, so you would not confuse productivity with purpose. Let me speak directly now. If you had been given authority earlier, it would have fed your wounds instead of healing them. It would have amplified insecurity instead of wisdom. God waited until you could receive influence without needing it to feel whole. And now, your emotional world is steadier. You are not perfect, but you are anchored. Praise does not intoxicate you. Criticism does not destroy you. You are learning how to remain centered. That centeredness is the foundation of command. The weight of command is not glamorous. It is lonely at times. Decisions carry consequences. People misunderstand intentions. But emotional mastery allows you to stand without collapsing under pressure. You are closer than you think. In the next part, I will speak about the moment of activation, when heaven responds to your alignment, and how command is released not through force but through obedience and clarity. Let me take this deeper, chosen one, because emotional mastery is not just a requirement for authority, it is the shield that protects you once authority arrives. You had to learn how to carry disappointment without becoming hard. Many people grow cold when life does not reward them quickly. You did not. You grew quieter, more reflective. That is emotional intelligence shaped by God. You learned to grieve without losing faith, to feel sadness without surrendering hope. That balance is rare, and it is powerful. God also trained you through misunderstanding. People misread your intentions. They questioned your heart. They projected their own fears onto you. And there were moments you wanted to defend yourself, to explain, to prove who you really were. But God restrained you. He taught you that authority does not argue for validation. Truth stands on its own. Silence, when chosen wisely, speaks louder than explanation. You learned something else that many never do. You learned how to be corrected without collapsing. Correction did not destroy you. It refined you. You stopped seeing correction as rejection. You saw it as alignment. That posture makes you teachable, and teachability keeps authority clean. There were seasons when your emotions felt heavy, when exhaustion crept in quietly. That was not failure. That was your soul asking for rest. God used those moments to teach you compassion toward yourself. Authority that is harsh with itself becomes harsh with others. God softened you so your leadership would heal, not harm. Notice how you now respond to chaos. You do not rush in emotionally. You observe first. You listen. You weigh things. That calm is not indifference. It is maturity. It is the ability to hold space without being overwhelmed by it. Leaders who panic spread panic. Leaders who remain steady bring peace. God was shaping you into the second kind. You were also trained to let go of control. This was one of the hardest lessons. You wanted to fix things. You wanted to save people. You wanted to make outcomes right. God showed you your limits, not to discourage you, but to free you. Authority is not carrying everything. It is knowing what is yours to carry and what belongs to God. And here is a truth that will anchor you. Authority does not come from intensity. It comes from alignment. When your emotions align with truth, when your reactions align with wisdom, when your heart aligns with obedience, heaven responds. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. This is why command will come through your calm voice, not through force, through clarity, not chaos, through obedience, not ego. You will not need to dominate. Your presence will guide. Your words will carry weight because they are measured, not impulsive. So if you ever wondered why God slowed your emotional reactions, why He made you pause, why He forced you to reflect instead of react, this is why. He was preparing you to carry command without being consumed by it. You are not just being trusted with influence, you are being trusted with people's hearts, and that requires mastery first within. Now rest in this truth. You are not emotionally weak, you are emotionally trained, and that training is almost complete. The moment of activation, when heaven responds to your voice. Chosen one, this is where anticipation often tries to rush ahead of wisdom, so I want you calm as you listen. Activation is not an explosion, it is an alignment. It does not arrive with noise, panic, or confusion. It arrives with clarity, peace, and quiet authority. Many people imagine activation as a dramatic moment when everything changes overnight. But God rarely works that way with His chosen. Sudden elevation without internal readiness destroys people. What God releases is gradual, intentional, and precise. When activation comes, it feels natural, not overwhelming. It feels like stepping into something you were already trained for. Activation happens when your will fully aligns with God's will. Not when you feel excited, not when you feel confident, but when obedience becomes your default posture. Heaven responds to alignment more than ambition. You may have noticed something changing already. A deeper sense of calm, less urgency to prove yourself, more clarity about what matters and what does not. That is not you losing passion. That is you gaining authority. When God prepares to move through a person, He quiets unnecessary noise within them. Activation does not require force. You do not push doors open. You do not chase opportunities. You do not announce yourself. God positions you. People recognize something in you without you advertising it. Influence begins to flow naturally, not because you demand it, but because your presence carries weight. When heaven responds to your voice, it is not because your voice is loud. It is because it is aligned. Authority comes from obedience, refined through patience. That is why your prayers have changed. They are no longer frantic, they are steady. You are learning how to speak to God from trust, not desperation. Let me tell you something important. Activation often begins internally before it becomes visible externally. You may feel a shift in how you speak, how you choose words, how you respond to situations. That inner shift is heaven saying, you are ready to carry weight now. The 144,000 are waiting not for chaos, but for clarity. Command does not come from emotional impulse, it comes from discernment. And discernment requires stillness. That is why God trained you in silence. You will notice that when you speak now, people listen differently. Not because you demand attention, but because your words carry peace and truth. That is authority. Authority is not intimidating, it is stabilizing. Activation also comes with restraint. God does not release everything at once. He allows you to step into authority gradually, so your nervous system, your emotions, and your spirit adjust together. Sudden power shocks the soul. Gradual authority strengthens it. You may be tempted to ask, when will it fully happen? That question comes from the mind. The spirit already knows. Activation is already unfolding. You are not waiting for permission. You are being trusted with responsibility in stages. Let me remove fear from this. You will not miss it. God does not activate his chosen quietly without confirming it internally. You will feel peace, not panic, confidence, not anxiety, readiness, not confusion. When you move, heaven moves with you. When you speak, heaven listens, not because of who you are, but because of who you submitted to become. In the next part, I will show you how to walk forward daily as a chosen one, without fear, without ego, and without pressure, while carrying authority with humility and peace. Let me stay here a little longer with you, because this moment of activation needs to settle into your spirit, not rush through your mind. Activation is often misunderstood because people expect it to feel dramatic. But God is not dramatic. He is intentional. When heaven responds to your voice, it does not feel like power rushing through you. It feels like clarity anchoring you. You begin to know when to speak and when to remain silent without overthinking it. Discernment becomes instinctive. Decisions feel cleaner, simpler, not easier, but clearer. You may also notice that old distractions lose their grip. Things that once pulled at your attention no longer satisfy you. This is not boredom. This is alignment. When purpose sharpens, distractions fade naturally. God is narrowing your focus so your energy is no longer scattered. Activation also brings a new kind of responsibility. You will feel a stronger pull to guard your inner world, your thoughts, your words, your reactions, not out of fear, but out of awareness. You understand now that what flows through you affects others. Authority makes you mindful. It makes you careful without making you anxious. And yes, chosen one, opposition may increase. Not dramatically, but subtly. Doubt may whisper again. Old fears may resurface. Not because you are going backward, but because you are crossing thresholds. The enemy tests what he fears. Do not panic when resistance appears. Calm endurance silences opposition faster than force ever could. Heaven responds to consistency. Continue doing what you have been doing. Continue choosing obedience in small things. Continue honoring truth in private. Activation is not a single moment. It is a season of steady alignment. You will also feel less need to be understood. That is a sign of maturity. Authority does not require explanation. When God opens doors, understanding follows naturally. You do not chase acceptance. You move with obedience. Let me say something that will free you. You are not responsible for convincing others of your calling. You are responsible for stewarding it well. Validation comes after obedience, not before it. The voice that heaven responds to is not the voice of self-promotion. It is the voice of submission. That is why your prayers feel quieter now. They carry weight because they come from trust. And when command comes, it will not feel foreign. It will feel familiar, like stepping into clothes already tailored for you, because God has been fitting you for this role quietly, patiently, over time. Rest in this. You are not waiting for God to move. God has been moving in you all along, and now you are ready to walk forward without fear. Walking forward without fear, living as a chosen one daily. Chosen one, this is where everything becomes practical. Authority is not only about moments of activation, it is about how you live when nothing dramatic is happening. How you wake up, how you speak, how you treat people, how you carry yourself when no one is watching. This is where many stumble, not because they lack calling, but because they misunderstand daily faith. Living as a chosen one does not mean walking around tense or serious all the time. God did not call you into constant pressure. He called you into grounded peace. Authority that drains you is not divine authority. What God gives strengthens you from the inside out. The first thing you must release is fear. Fear of missing your moment. Fear of making the wrong move. Fear of falling behind. Fear does not sharpen obedience, it clouds it. When fear leaves, clarity enters. And clarity is what guides daily decisions. You walk forward by staying rooted in simple obedience, not complicated rituals, not constant spiritual striving, simple faithfulness. Speak truth. Rest when tired. Pray honestly. Guard your mind. Choose peace when chaos invites you. This is how authority is maintained. You will also need to accept that not everyone will understand your pace. Some people move fast and burn out. Others move slow and stay shallow. Your pace is different because your assignment is different. Stop comparing timelines. God measures progress by alignment, not speed. As a chosen one, you must also learn how to live without explaining yourself. Over-explaining is often a sign of insecurity. God did not ask you to convince people. He asked you to follow him. When you move with quiet confidence, explanations become unnecessary. You may feel led to pull back from certain conversations, certain environments, certain distractions. That is not isolation. That is stewardship. Authority requires energy. You cannot pour from an empty place. Protect your peace without guilt. Daily life will also test your humility. Praise may come. Recognition may increase. Do not let it redefine you. You were chosen because you were teachable. Stay that way. Authority grows best in humility. Not self-doubt, but grounded humility. There will be days that feel ordinary. Do not despise them. God does some of his deepest work in ordinary moments. Faithfulness in the unseen prepares you for responsibility in the seen. Consistency matters more than intensity, and when you make mistakes, do not spiral. Correction is part of leadership. Return to God quickly. Repentance keeps authority clean. Guilt clouds discernment. Grace restores clarity. Let me give you this anchor. You do not need to perform your calling. You need to live aligned with it. God opens doors you do not force. He brings connections you do not manipulate. He confirms paths you do not chase. Walking forward without fear means trusting that God is more invested in your calling than you are. He sees what you cannot. He times what you would rush. He protects what you would expose too early. So breathe. Walk steadily. Stay obedient. Stay humble. Stay grounded. You are not trying to become chosen. You already are. Now you are learning how to live like it, calmly, confidently, and without fear. In the final part, I will bring this message to rest, seal it with peace, and remind you of what truly matters as you stand on the edge of divine movement. Let me add this final layer here, because daily living is where your authority is either strengthened or slowly drained. You must learn how to listen to your body and your spirit together. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Exhaustion is not proof of obedience. God does not ask you to destroy yourself to serve him. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. Chosen ones who ignore rest eventually lose clarity. Protect your rhythm. Sleep, silence, stillness. These are not luxuries, they are necessities for authority. You will also need to be mindful of what you consume mentally. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every argument needs your opinion. Not every problem requires your intervention. Discernment teaches you where to invest your energy. Authority grows when focus is guarded. Relationships will continue to shift. Some people will walk with you for a season. Others will fall away naturally. Do not cling. Do not resent. Release with peace. God removes what no longer fits your next level. Trust His pruning. You may feel led to simplify your life. Fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary commitments, more intentional time with God. That simplicity creates space for clarity, and clarity sharpens obedience. When anxiety tries to return, slow down. Anxiety is often a signal that you are thinking ahead of grace. God gives grace daily, not all at once. Stay present. Stay grounded in today's obedience, and let this settle deeply. You do not need to announce who you are becoming. Growth speaks for itself. Authority reveals itself over time. Quiet consistency builds trust more than loud declarations ever could. So, move forward gently, firmly, without fear. You are not alone, you are guided, and you are held. Now allow this truth to anchor you. You are walking exactly where you are meant to be. Understood? You're now ready for the final section that seals the message emotionally and spiritually. Conclusion: the calm before divine movement. Chosen one, take a slow breath right now. Let your shoulders drop. Let your mind settle. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is being taken from you. You are not behind. You are exactly where God intended you to be at this moment. Everything you have walked through was not random. The waiting, the silence, the shaping, the restraint, it all served a purpose. God does not waste seasons, He prepares vessels, and you were prepared with care. The 144,000 are not waiting for noise, they are waiting for clarity, they are waiting for steadiness, they are waiting for those who can carry command without ego and authority without fear. And you are being formed into that kind of leader. Remember this, you do not need to rush, you do not need to prove, you do not need to force open doors. When God moves, movement feels natural. When command is released, it feels calm. And when authority rests on you, it brings peace, not pressure. Stay anchored in truth. Stay obedient in small things. Stay humble and teachable. That posture keeps heaven aligned with you. If this message resonated with your spirit, chosen one, do not ignore it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the messages meant for you. Share this with other chosen ones who need this peace today. And comment 777 below as a quiet declaration that you are aligned, prepared, and trusting God's timing. Remain still. Remain faithful. The movement is coming.